Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Craft Your Life podcast with Altenew. We are so excited to have the amazing Amy Rysavy with us here today. Welcome, Amy. Hello, hello. We're so excited to have you join us and get to know you a bit better.
I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit, if folks haven't stumbled across you in the many blog hops and the many videos and the lots of Facebook and Instagram, if they haven't stumbled across your channel yet, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Amy R, aka Amy Rysavy with Prairie Paper Ink. And yeah, I have been blogging and posting content online for almost 20 years now. I think it's been close to 20 years. I would have to go back and actually look to see when I started the blog, but it's old, really, really old. I'm now on a new website, haven't migrated the other ones anyway. And then, yeah, YouTube videos, started that 2009, I think, was my first YouTube video. Been almost 15 years. Yeah. And then, yeah, Facebook page, Instagram, all the things, anything card making. That's me.
Yeah. And you're doing a lot of math, like, kudos.
Yeah, with my fingers, always. I'm always, like, even under the table, I'm just like.
Math gets scary at a certain point, and people are like, how long have you been crafting? You're like, no, and no. I don't want to answer that. Next question, please.
Yeah, no, I only remember because I started right after I had my oldest kid, and that one will be turning 21.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe
I was young when I had her. So, yeah, I started card making right after, so that's how I just know. So it's like, oh, how old is my child? Okay, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Yeah.
Because, I was going to say, and you're a busy mom, too, mom and wife. So this isn't like your only thing. Like, you're a mom and a wife as well, so.
Yeah, but this is what pays the bills, because I do get asked a lot. They're like, you put out so much. Like, it's amazing how much you put out. I was like, dude, I got a lot of kids to feed. You know, it's expensive raising them. So this is what pays the bills. So, yeah, between that and 5 children, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. It never ends. I'm not kidding. When like people, same thing, they're just like, oh, he keeps saying the chaos. The chaos. Dude, that's my life. I could have that tattooed like right here. Just welcome to the chaos.
You need the t-shirt I have. It says, I run on chaos and coffee.
Yes. Yep. 100%. That is me too.
Now, before that, because you did nails as well, which I consider a crafty kind of thing as well. What other kind of crafting did you do before you started, like YouTube, blogging, all of that?
Oh, everything. I've had ever since I was a literal toddler. Like, hand me a box of crayons as a toddler. I would sit and color for hours, and I did sewing a bit as a kid. Wasn't very good at it. Cross stitch. I had my own hot glue gun as a child. I don't understand. I look back and I'm like, what on earth? Like, my parents just weren't paying attention. Like, I'd be up in the middle of the night with the hot glue, making my own Barbie doll clothes, and it's just what I do. So I've dabbled in almost everything. And then the card making, that's what stuck. Yeah, really. Yeah.
Now, did you ever scrapbook as well and move over, or did you go straight to the card making?
I started with card making. I tried scrapbooking, and I found it so overwhelming for me. Like, the pressure, because I was like, it needs, this is forever. This is forever. So it needs to be, I put way too much pressure on myself. And also my scrapbook pages were ridiculous. Like, they were like 15 feet thick because I had 30,000 embellishment, like Prima flowers. I still have them. Oh yeah, I have my scrapbook. And I've got a couple, I remember I have a 2-page layout and there's like 500 Prima flowers on there because I owned a million of them. So, and it's like this thick.
And those had heft. Those were big.
Yeah. So I again, my oldest kid, I scrapbooked. Not even her first year of life. And the book is like this thick. It weighs like 50 pounds. And I can't. And my thing too, because by that point I was doing like blogging and everything and trying to like take photos of big layouts. And I was just like ridiculous. And I always think about getting back into it, but then I'm like, oh, I have no good pictures. And yeah.
And again, we came from the day when you had to take the pictures, get them developed, bring them back, put them in the books. Not like now. My son wanted to make a scrapbook album this past week. He came over. I hooked up the photo printer. He's just cranking them out, stuffing them in pages. Like, I'm like,
yes, it looks so much nicer simple. Now. I was like, man, if I had those little sprocket printers and all, like, I would have had way more fun. Like,
yes.
Yeah. I had the huge DSLR and like, I have boxes of photos, thousands of them. You know, and the kids are like, why did you take like 50 shots? I was like, you were getting the perfect one for the scrapbook page.
Well, and you never knew if any of them came out. You never knew until you brought them back. And then there was invariably a finger, or it was too dark, and you were like, oh, no, these 10 don't work, you know. And yeah, because my son used to call me the stalkerazzi because I was always taking photos. And he's like, where did those all go? And I'm like, well, the ones we have left are in the photo box. But I said, you took like 10 to 1. It was like 10 horrible pictures. You got one really good one. So yeah, the name has stuck, the stalkerazzi, because there's my mom, the stalkerazzi.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite project to make?
Anything cards, really. That's what got me, because I was like, man, I can sit down, I can make a card, and I can walk away.
Yeah.
Technically. In my case, it's like I still have to like photograph it, edit the video, yada, yada, yada. But it's like the project is done.
Yeah.
And I can move on to the next thing. Like, I like big projects. I've got probably 3 unfinished crochet projects sitting in a bin. But those take years. Literal years. But yeah, cards, I can knock out 1 in a sitting or do a whole bunch in a day.
Yep.
Love it.
And the crochet kind of silently looks at you. Like, you can feel it when you're in your room. You're like, I know something over there is looking at me. And it's like, finish me.
I can see the bins from where I'm sitting, and I've been like slowly picking away at organizing, and I just kind of like pulled it out, and I was like, no, we're just not gonna acknowledge the project I started 8 years ago, and I don't even remember the pattern for it anymore. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. It's like a 1.5 feet of an Afghan.
I had
one, really like scarf.
I had one that I tried really hard, but it looked like a round throw rug. So I thanked it for its entertainment purpose for me and the practice, and we parted ways because I'm like, I don't even know, like, or could I have had it be like a dress? I don't know. It was so sad because I just crochet, I don't count. So I just guesstimate, and it doesn't work. Just for those at home, don't do that. It doesn't work because you end up with a round crochet throw rug. And unless you want one of those.
There are some people that take it out and they're just like, you know, making their little animals and things. They're just like, I knew someone way back, and she was like, oh yeah, I don't follow patterns. Like, and she would make things with, like, she made my kids a bunch of like little toques and mitts and different things, and she just whipped them up. I'm like, how? I tried it once and I was like, no, I need a specific pattern. I have to count my stitches. And then I'm just like so stressed out that I'm like, no, not for me.
And that you need an enjoyable hobby. So you really do. Now, so because your hobby, your downtime became your job, do you have hobbies for downtime? Or, I mean, 5 kids and a job, you probably don't have much. But in those small moments that you do have time,
I'm trying. I have a basket full of gouache materials, and I signed up for classes to like start, you know, doing little paintings with gouache. I started the class. I have the basket. That was like 6 months ago. So yeah, no, I have all, and same. I have right behind me a little cross stitch project that I started again years ago. A little Halloween. It's adorable. It's got a pattern, all the things. Do I have time? No. So now I play video games now. That's what I do. In fact, I literally have it like when I've got like videos uploading. So I have, 20 minutes or whatever. I'm like sitting playing Zelda, just completely zoned out to the world. Love it.
Awesome game choice. I remember the old one back in the day, the gold one.
I've actually never played any of them before. Oh yeah, this is my very first like foray.
Wow.
And it took me a while because I really suck at it, and I had a meltdown the first day because I was like, oh, I'm doing it. I wasted all this time, and I really suck. And what's wrong with me? Yeah, I just need to pay attention. I'm good now. Yeah.
You're golden. It just takes time. Yeah. It's like
yeah, it just took me. I was so stubborn. I was like, I have put time into this. This is going to be my game. So yeah, a whole bunch of Googling later and walkthroughs and different things. And I'm like, hey, I actually really enjoy this.
Now, can your kids help you? Do your kids help you with the games as well? Or
sort of? Like my youngest was just like, Mom, if you need help, I'll help you. Because they know I suck. But it's funny because I've progressed past them. So now they're coming to me and asking for advice. And I'm like, oh, tables have turned, haven't they? So
that's awesome, though.
And at the same time, like watching them play, I'm like, I can't. I'm way too old school and methodical. Like I'm just like wandering around, like trying to find every little like that is just the way I work.
Yeah.
And my kids like zooming through, blowing things up, selling everything out. And I'm just like, no, you need to save that. I was like, you might need those later. And
oh, you could miss something special is hidden. Take your time.
You never know.
The one thing you need. It could have been behind that tree.
Exactly. Exactly. Like that's what I, especially when I'm just not wanting to like deal with anything. Yeah, I just wander around and collect little mushrooms in the game or whatever. I'm just like, do.
That must be the wisdom that comes with age, is knowing that you may need something later that, and
I keep getting proven right, especially in this game. I keep getting proven right. I was like, you needed those. I told you so. I was like, see, I needed that to defeat the like big game monster that I had to Google and get an entire walkthrough to show me exactly how to do it. But I was like, I did it because I'm amazing.
So see, it's kind of like your gouache. Think of it this way. Even Meatloaf said 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So you have the gouache, you bought the class, and you just have to take it. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You're progressing nicely.
I know, right? I've got it all. It's all ready. It's all ready. And I'm like, but yeah, it's more just like doing that for me, especially to like sit down and do something that I'm not going to monetize, because that's the mindset you get into doing this as a job. I'm just like, well, it's not worth it if I can't make content out of it. But then I'm like, even video games, I was literally considering, I was like, maybe I should set up another channel and start doing like video game content. I was like, do I want to be that kind? No. Do I have the time for it? No. So
think of
video games at least I can for sure keep it to fun, but things like wash or cross stitch, I'm like, I should be filming this. No, I shouldn't.
It is a hard.
People get enough of me with card making. I don't think they need me in every single genre.
Well, I disagree on that. I think you're fabulous. I think any genre, anytime. It just
it would be chaos. Sometimes fun. I think it could be a lot of fun. But at the same time, I'm just like, no, it's hard enough as it is. I work enough. I'm in this garage 24/7. So, yeah.
And it's nice to keep some things for yourself that you have for you, that help. So that's a good thing. We just had a power outage, and it worked out really lovely because I found out I really love reading books. Like I had forgotten that. And just in life, it just got so busy that you push those little things that kind of are good for you. And it's like, it came back and I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Why am I not doing this? And well, it's the chaos. That's why I'm not doing it, but we need to calm the chaos a little bit and include it a little. So
reading too. Oh, I love to read. I do. Same thing. I have now a stack of books just waiting.
They're so easy.
Just waiting. My thing though, when I crack open a book, and especially if it's a good one, then I have a really hard time like not doing it, because like I need to get to the very end. Yeah.
They always get you at the end of a chapter too, and they're like, dun dun dun, and you're
just like, oh, come on, I don't have time for this. Like, I can't come back to this for like 3 days at least. I've got too many done.
I can't live on the edge for that long. Like, come
No,
on.
I'll literally haul them around. Like, I'll be at a dentist or a dog store, and I've got like a hard cover in my bag. I pull out this like 5-inch thick book, and I'm just like, I don't care, man. I have no time.
So,
and yeah, I still have Outlander. Have you read Outlander?
No, but I've heard very good things.
You should. They're amazing.
Uh-oh.
They're amazing. But they're hefty. And the newest one is literally like this. It came out a couple of years ago now, I think. And I have to go back and reread the old series because I started reading the new one and I was like, I don't remember how we got here. I was like, no, I'm going back and rereading. But there's like 14 books so far or something. I forget. There's a lot.
So you're a traditionalist too, because you're mentioning the thickness. So you're a traditionalist in your books.
Yeah. Yep.
There's something to flipping the page and opening the binding. And I do like the convenience when traveling that I don't have to bring like a stack of books like this on the plane. I do appreciate the convenience, but at home in my space, I love opening a book, taking out my bookmark, my little book light. I just got a book light. I'm so excited. It's when you get older, it's the silliest things that get you really. I was telling everybody yesterday, I'm getting a book light. I'm sure people were like, okay, but it's new again.
No, so it's very handy. I keep every once in a while, and yeah, traveling. I'm like, I should probably get like a Kindle, but I just every time I almost think, and then I'm like, but I like real books. And if they weren't so bloody expensive, you would think if they were digital, they should be cheaper. That's my biggest. Oh, I will die on that hill. Biggest pet peeve. I'm like, dude, I can buy a hardcover for this price. Yeah, seriously.
Especially at the I went to Sam's Club or something like that. They have the hardcovers aren't that bad because you get your member price, so it's not as bad as when you buy them. So
I always check out Costco's selection. I'm like seeing what kind of books. Although I've had discussions because I was like, excuse me, you don't have the newest. Nora Roberts. That's one of my little guilty pleasures. I love reading her books, and I was like, you don't have the newest ones. They're like, oh no, like they don't sell. We don't bring them in. I'm like, what? I'm here to buy it. I want the hardcover version, and it's always like $10 cheaper at Costco.
And I have my money right here. I'm ready to go.
Come on, you guys. I was like, because then I have to drive even further to go to the bookstore, and I have too many children, and I'm already here buying $1,000 worth of groceries because I like a book to treat myself. Because I was like, food for you guys, book for me. Life is good.
Yes. Now, how in the wild world of crafting did you happen on Altenew?
I was thinking about that, and I'm like, I don't even remember, but I'm sure it was probably floral something, that caught my eye because I remember doing videos way back. And it was, I can't remember the name, but I think it was like a peony. And it was a big line drawn image. And I was just like, oh, I need that in my life. And I'm pretty sure I did 1 or 2 videos using it years and years ago. And then in more recent years, Altenew's just been popping out with tons of products. I have random little stacks. In fact, I just got this one that I ordered. Because now they're getting into the press plates. And I was like, oh, well, those need to come to my house.
Add to cart.
Yep.
I was like, 3 words.
I've had it sitting here because it just showed up literally a couple days ago. And I was like, yeah. But yeah, I don't even, it's always something sort of random that'll just kind of pop up because I'm usually like online, like scrolling through Simon Says Stamp, and I'm like, oh, and I always check the new products, and so I'm like, oh, I need this in my life. Add to cart. Yeah.
And sometimes those are a treat too, because you're like, I'm so busy. I have so many things I have to do. But you look down at the press plate and you're like, but that I want to do. I need to do this. I have to do this. So those can be a treat sometimes as well. Even though it's work, it's still, you make it into on your channel, but you get to have a play with something you're dying to use, which is awesome.
Exactly. Or more often than not, I order it. That is my little hobby, is obsessively stalking the tracking.
Yes.
It's like, I'll do that, and then it arrives, and I open it up, and I'm so excited, and I place it in a bin, front and center, and then I move that bin around to keep it in my eyesight to remind me to use it, and then 2 years later, I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, I liked your earlier comment about I'm always organizing. I kind of was organizing or something.
Oh yeah, it never ends. It literally, I kind of laugh because people are like, oh my God, like you're so organized. I was like, haha, you see from here up. Just like with my clothes, you see from here up.
Yes.
You don't see the sweatpants and the ratty slippers and the boxes and garbage everywhere. Just stuff everywhere.
It's like, could you walk in the dark out of your office? Probably not.
I'm pretty good at it because when I shut off all my filming lights, it can get really dark in here, especially in the winter. Yeah. But when Chris comes in sometimes to help, it's like I will hold like my flashlight to guide him out of here because otherwise he's knocking everything over. I'm like, dude, you're in here as well. I was like, there's a method to all these things that are like sticking out everywhere.
So I know where they are.
Like I know where to like literally like dodge and move and duck to get in and out.
It's a special little dance. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what are your biggest influences you think in your crafting?
Oh gosh.
That's another doozy. I know that's a tough, it seems like a really straightforward question, but it is a tough one to think about.
Well, yeah, because it's literally the most random of things. I have a million screenshots on my phone. I'm not like literally just so many because I'll be like scrolling through and I'm like, ooh, screenshot, because like some of it is other card makers. It'll be something else randomly, some stupid ad that all the ads, that pop up and I'm like, ooh, I like those colors. Screenshot, so it's like so many random things, and then more often than not, I forget them. This is where I should get one of those little mini printers, like actually print them off, but then I would print them off and stick them in a bin and I would forget about that too. Yeah. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Do you ever go back to those if you're having one of those, we all get them, the crafty drought, and you don't know when it's coming? So do you go back to those ever, or do you have other ways to get through the desert of crafting?
Sometimes I go back to them and I should make a point of it. And then other times I'll just, in my case, I just have to force myself because it's like, you got a deadline. You're in a blog hop tomorrow at 4 a.m. So you've got very few hours left. So get to it, honey. And I just don't have a choice. But when it's really bad, because there are times and I'm just walking around in a fog and I'm like, I don't even know. I have no idea what I'm doing. So those I will sometimes like either scroll online, Instagram, kind of get some ideas, whatever. I just need some sort of parameter sometimes, and thankfully every once in a while too, it'll like, someone will even comment and they're like, oh, I wish you would do XYZ. And I'm like, oh, thanks for that. Give me a parameter. I can run with this. Yeah. So yeah, it's always something different. And it's frustrating. And it's something I think about all the time because I hit a wall pretty much every day. Yeah. Mostly probably because I'm burnt out. But that's just life.
And it's you sit down and you're like, I want to do something new. But what's new? And then, and eventually you think of something usually, and you're like, well, this is a new way to do this, or this is new to me, or, you can kind of translate that word new because we're always looking for the new, right. The new, or what can we make old that's new, make it new again, or, to keep things fresh crafting because,
Oh, yeah. And it's all cyclical. It all comes back. Everyone's revisiting like the old techniques. I get a kick out of it when people are like freaking out over something like this amazing thing. And I was like, oh, dude, we were doing that 20 years ago, man. It's not new, but then I was like, but wait, I was like, they haven't seen it before. Cause I was like, I remember like the shaving cream technique or like reinkers and marbles, like things that we did forever ago. Yeah. And now it's like, I remember that first time and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I probably bought like 10 bloody containers of shaving cream. I hate shaving cream. I hate the smell of it. I hate the feel of it.
Texture gets me. It's just so sticky and
smell of it because you just get the cheap stuff because it's like you're just using it for craft techniques. And I was like, I hate doing that, Tick. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It looks amazing.
Yes.
And I love seeing what people do with it. The minute I can smell it, I'm just like, oh, no, not doing it.
And it's funny because back in the day, we had to do stuff like that. We didn't have all the newfangled gadgets. Our dyes were like an inch and a half thick.
Mm-hmm. And that was if you could afford them and afford the die cut machine, or you had to go to a scrapbook store and rent time on one of their machines, which I never did. But yeah, I remember getting my very first, I don't remember what they were, but I remember getting the first like thin wafer dies. And I was just like, the heavens opened, had my little cuddle bug machine. And it was like, in fact, I'm sure I have videos. I have old ones of like my favorite wafer dies, and they're like fancy little frames or something that I used till I wore them out.
We always need to have like there's a history of the world. I think we need a crafty history. So like, who did invent the wafer die? Who was it? I don't know. I don't know who invented the wafer die. Who invented the shaving cream technique? All these questions that like we just kind of were talking about today. It's like, where did that come from? And it's in the crafting industry. A lot of times it's they came out with a shaving cream technique.
Well, yeah, because a lot of times like, because that's just it. No one technically owns any technique.
Yeah.
There's a few every once in a while. I think you can kind of pin it back to so and so came up with something, but then it's like then so and so made their version of it. Then so and so did this version, and now after 20 plus years, it's just is what it is. But yeah, it's always interesting because it's like, how would you think of that?
Yeah,
how would you think of that? It's like I would never. I would never think of like anything. Every once in a while, I'll come up with like a cool idea or a cool little twist on something.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't think I've invented nothing ever. That's not how my brain works. It's like let someone else come up with like the cool, fancy whatever, and then I'll be like, ooh, but what if I did it in purple?
I could be a side tangent. I could be a tangent off lots of things. Yeah. But yes, I don't think I've created anything new.
Yeah. No, that's just not my forte. I like to dabble in too many things. I was like, I like, that little element. I like this little technique, got into the splatter train, which has now become like my calling card with everything. Because I'm just splatter it, whatever. It just needs splatter. We're good. I
can imagine how beautiful your desk is.
Oh, it's everywhere.
You never know where it is.
My next little I need to like scrape off my glasswork so I can literally see I have splatter everywhere. Doesn't matter if I use my splat box, it's everywhere.
My light.
Not as bad as it used to be. I'm better than I used to be. Back in the day, I literally used to have it like on my camera. I remember taking my camera off its mount and there was like splatter all over because I used to just everywhere. I'm more controlled now, but it still gets everywhere.
Now I see beautiful color behind you. Are you like color driven, or are you more technique driven when you set down to like start a project?
Definitely color always. And I'm so visual. That's why I have to have everything. Like, not only does it just looks nice in the background, but I need to see my things. I don't have doors on any of my cabinets, which makes things look a lot more chaotic when you can actually see it. But I need to see it because I was like, if I can't see it, I forget I own it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. And yeah, I definitely need to I need visuals. Like, I always, even with some of the brands I work with, I was like, can you just send me pictures of the things? Like, show me how you use the stamp set. Because I was like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then, their team has made things and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Okay, I can do it. And then I can just go with it.
Now, when you see previews of things, do you get like a lot of ideas, or are you more, it's got to be in my hands to really go with it?
Oh, as soon as I see the things, I've always getting ideas. Like, it never shuts off. It never shuts off. Some days that is not a good thing, but it's just like constant. And that's also and I keep saying that I need to like literally carry around with me my little like post-it notes or something and a pen, because it's like, yeah, I've got my phone with me all the time, but I never, even then, I don't put anything in my notes app.
Yeah.
But yeah, wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm like, I'll come up with like the most random, amazing card idea. And I'm like, oh, I'll remember that.
You never do. No. No.
Never have. And there have been some, I know, like brilliant ones where I was like, oh, you're so smart. Everyone's going to be so wowed when you show them that. I don't remember any of it.
You wake up in the morning, you're like, I think there was a bird.
Yeah. Well, there's something. Probably had splattered.
Maybe it was a dog. I don't know. It was something.
Like, I can't. And I'll be like, it was such a good idea. Like, yeah, maybe put the Post-it notes right beside the bed with a pen. I keep telling myself this. And I was like, yeah, I am such a professional. Like, yep.
But I think that's why a lot of crafters love you, as you keep it real and you wing it. Like, you just, what you see is what you get, and it's awesome. So I think that's part of the Amy R charm.
Well, yeah, that's what I tell people. I was like, man, if I can do it, anybody can. Seriously. I was like, anything. Even things like especially something like watercoloring, because that one I know intimidates a lot of people. And I was like, dudes, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And also, I'm like, I've been doing this now for watercoloring specifically. I remember starting to dabble in it quite a few years ago now, like 8, 9, maybe, I don't even know, however many years ago. But I remember being so intimidated. Because I was like, how, watching people on videos, and I was like, how do you get it like that? Like, what? Huh? But then I just started dabbling in it. And my first attempts absolutely sucked. I still filmed them, made them into cards. They're online. Don't care. I was like, whatever. But now, it's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm like, again, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I was like, dudes, I had no clue. I was like, why? Like, using my first attempts that was part of it, were Derwent Ink Tense pencils. Have you ever used them?
No.
They're permanent after you get them wet.
Oh.
That was my first attempts at watercolor. And if I can make those bloody things I was like, why is it moving? Yeah, they're permanent.
Oh no! You're trying the most permanent.
I don't recall. It was like a full image and a full background with them, and I was like, "What is not working?"
Oh no! And it was permanent.
Knowing how the product was supposed to work, makes a difference. But yeah, so again, if I can do it, anyone can, because I did it backwards with permanent, watercolors that don't reactivate. Which is also why I explain to people, like, this is how this was, meant to be used, or etc. Because I was like, so many times people just don't get that. And I'm just like, I'm a stickler for it. I'm like, but then I also say, I was like, this is how it's meant to be used. This is how I'm going to use it. I don't care.
This is what I do.
Yeah. But I'm like, this is how they made it to be used, or, it's not supposed to be used with XYZ. And I'm just doing my own thing. Because, yeah. Product knowledge is, especially now, there's so much.
Yes.
There's so many brands. There's so many things. There's a lot. There is a lot. And I can only remember so many things and whatever, but trying to explain that to people, because I was like, 99% of the time, I'm like, the issues you're having, I was like, is because, your Copic markers were only meant to be, like, they're saying that they're permanent. They're not watercolor. They're not going to move.
And knowing the right ink to use with those so that you don't pull the black into your colored image. It's those little, and I think that's hard for some folks, because that's where they're starting and they get so frustrated right out of the gate. And they're like, this is never going to work for me. And it's just that one little thing that if you just change that one little thing, that you can begin your journey into using alcohol markers and having them work beautifully for you down as you put time in and progress on it.
Exactly. And so even just like an ink blending, like anything, I was like, type of paper you use, what you stamped your image with. Yeah, I always wonder, like, people will comment and like, oh, well, mine didn't work. And I was like, well, what did you use? What was the paper? What was the humidity like? I was like, I was like, it just depends on what the technique is. And yeah, I was like, if it works for me, I wouldn't share it otherwise. Yeah. Or I just show people, I was like, this didn't work, whatever. But I'm like, there's so many factors. Thankfully, most of the time, 99% of the time, I'm like, it's something silly. Like, it's like the wrong paper.
Yeah.
That and even back to watercolor, a lot of times I was like, Oh, you're not using watercolor paper.
Yep. And it's
not right there.
It's simple. It's a simple fix. And they may be the most beautiful watercolorists down, just by switching the paper, and it comes out so beautiful. And we have a happy crafter, which we love.
Exactly. And it's like so often I'm like, it's not the person. I was like, it's the whatever random little element, either the paper, the type of ink, or something. I'm like, that's what's messing you up. But yeah.
With that, what do you have for advice for beginner crafters?
Don't be too hard on yourself, and don't compare. That's the biggest one. Don't compare.
Yeah.
Don't compare your day 1 to someone else's day 5,000.
Yes.
That one, I was like, that saying, like, comparison's the thief of joy. I live by that.
That's an amazing
one. I get that so often because people are like, oh, I'll never be as good as you, or I'll never be as good as so and so. And I was like, dude, stop. Think.
Yeah.
So and so has been doing this, fine art, or in some cases, especially with some makers, I'm like, some of them are actual literal degreed artists. Like they went to university. I was like, do not compare you. I'm like, I don't compare myself to those people. I love their work. They're amazing. And I'm just like, what the heck? But I know, I'm like, they are way, way, way beyond me in terms of just skill, experience, and time put in.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest one, because I was like, I look back and I tell people that. I was like, you can go back if you do a little bit of Google searching. I'm like, you can find the very first card I ever posted, which is on Split Coast Ambers. I'm like, the very first card. It wasn't the first card I made, but it was the very first card I posted online.
Yeah.
20 plus years ago. It's the simplest, most basic card. It's like maybe 2 layers on top of a card base with some like fiber tied around it. And it was the Stampin' Up! Cat image.
I think I remember.
It was my kid's birthday card. That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah, I can picture it in my head. And someone actually sent me a screenshot because they were like, oh, I found it. And they sent me a screenshot of it. I was like, told you. I'm like, that's per basic. I'm like, I don't do stuff like that anymore because I've evolved and progressed and whatever. But yeah, I'm like 20 years time span from then to now. So for beginners, I was like, don't compare yourself, because I was like, everyone has their own little niche, like what they like to do, clean and simple, everything but the kitchen sink, there's room for everyone.
Yeah. And I think too, that's where social media can be so detrimental to your craft, is when you're looking at pictures that people have done, not knowing that they've been doing this for 30 years, or not knowing they are a trained artist. You're just like, oh, I'll never do that, so I'm not going to try. And that can be the most defeating thing. And honestly, like, yes, I think being crafters, we always have to practice. We always, like, if I put my alcohol markers down for a bit, I go back and it's like, okay, I'm in the groove, get in the groove. The groove's coming back now, because I get to ink blending, and then my watercolor suffers because I've left my watercolor for a while. And as we make the move around the techniques of the crafting industry, I think we even have to relearn, even if we've been doing it we're in double digits, both of us. If we've been doing it in double digits, it's still, you go back and you have to relearn kind of how much water to put on your paper when you're watercoloring, or how much pigment you want to add, or blending from a certain location to give it more dimension. We're always learning, I think, in this industry.
Oh yeah. And also ones like us and I've noticed that a lot, is because I jump around constantly. It's like, oh, if you stick with one thing, whether it's alcohol markers or watercolor or ink, and you really like, doesn't have to necessarily become your thing, but the more time you put into it, the better you get at it. Like, alcohol markers, I've been using them for almost 20 years. It's amazing how big of a difference, it's always so, because I remember, and I always say to people, because I'm like, I remember being so annoyed with people and they're like, practice. Like, it just takes practice. You're not helping.
I don't want to.
I want to answer. Like, I want to be better now. But it's true. And the more I do it, the better I get. However, I jump around. So it's like I fixate on, alcohol marker coloring for a little bit, and then something else catches my, I'm like the dog from Up. It's just squirrel. And then I'm on to the next technique. You know, I'm watercoloring for a while, and same thing. My watercolor has progressed so much, but I'm all over the place. So it's like, yeah, if people, especially when you're newer, just kind of rein it in a bit, you know? Once you get at least to the point where you're comfortable with it. Because I was like, that comes before you're like an expert at it. At least when you're comfortable, that you're not intimidated, you know, by alcohol markers, watercolor, whatever the technique is. Once you're comfortable with it, feel free to jump around and do whatever. But it makes a huge difference the more time you put into it. And I know even my own self, I've got tons of room for improvement. Every single, my COVID markers are like right there and they're just staring at me. And I'm like
the crochet, they're looking at you.
Yep. And they're just like, you know, because I keep finding now I've been better at it in the last year, like, you know, using them. Yeah.
And
I'm pulling them out and some are dried out because they're, again, 15 plus years old. And I'm like, serves me right for not, you know, keeping up with my things. But it does. It fascinates me when you see certain makers, you know, like someone like Alberto Guava, his coloring, but that's what he does. Like he does alcohol markers. That is his forte and he sticks with it. And his coloring is absolutely phenomenal. One, he's just got massive amounts of talent, but it's things like that. And I'm just like, rather than feeling like, oh, I'll never be good enough or never get to that. And like, I thought it's like, I do suck sometimes, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it because we can't all be that person either. That's also kind of ties back into the whole like not being intimidated by it or not comparing yourself. It would be boring as heck if all of us were alcohol marker experts and that's all we did.
Yeah.
That would be the point. Like it'd be so boring. And that's also why I jump around so much because I'm like, I get bored. I'm like, yeah, next thing, please. Next type of coloring medium, stamps, whatever it is. I'm like, next.
Although you do have some favorites. I do know this because there's a stamp set. I think you have 28 or something like takes of it, which is phenomenal to show versatility, which is awesome. But yeah, so I know you do have a few favorites that will never leave you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There is certain things that I will fixate on just about permanently. And actually that is something that, if I'm feeling really stuck, I'll go back to that. Because I was like, what have I not done with this? Whether it be, and it's getting to the point, especially with that floral set. I'm like, I don't think there's many things left I can do with this set at this point. But then it's like, oh, something else, like my little obsession with mushroom wafer dyes. There's little wafer dyes that I was like, I've done multiple videos, but I'm like, it's still sitting off to the side. And I'm like, I just pull that out. Use that with something else. Just mix it up. Do different colors. Or I was like, ooh, I haven't colored the die cuts with alcohol markers. Yep. There we go. That usually will get me going again to just kind of kickstart something, because I always, especially just that feeling of accomplishment of getting something done after feeling completely defeated and just no creativity. So it's like I get it done and it's like, ooh, go on to the next thing. So yeah, I'm always jumping all over the place, but there's always those few things that I will come back to, like black, gold, and white. Oh, that's another one that I will revisit and do. I've done many, many, many videos, and
it's just classical. Yeah. That's classical. It's just you can't go wrong with it. That combo, you cannot go wrong with that. You just can't.
No, well, it's like that's perfect. Yeah. So yeah, when I'm feeling a little stuck, I'm like, black, gold, and white. Just grab whatever random things I have at hand, and I'm like, that's gonna be black, that's gonna be gold, that's gonna be white. Done. And yeah, that usually will kind of get me out of, or at least partially get me out of whatever funk is going on. That I'm just like, and it's, for me, it's not even so much a funk. It's usually I'm just overwhelmed. Yeah, because I've got 15 piles of random product and deadlines and all these things, and I'm just like,
it's when you have more chaos than coffee.
Yep. And then sometimes I just got to walk away. Like for those that aren't doing this job, a big one, I was like, just walk away. Yeah. Even if it's in the middle of a project, because that's a big one too. Walk away in the middle of a project. Because I was like, if it looks like absolute crap, like you're just like, no, like this is gross. This looks horrible. This background's awful. Blah. Yeah. Walk away. Like I tell people all the time, I was like, it looks like hot mess. Even in my videos, I was like, it looks like a hot mess right now.
Stay with me.
Wait till it dries. And I always laugh because they're like, oh, I didn't know where you were going with this. I was like, the finished card was in the thumbnail. Like, you saw the end before it even started. You knew I was going to.
And sometimes you're like, neither did I.
No, I'm like, I'm including this. And I was like, it looks like a hot mess. Just wait for it. And then I can splice in, set it aside, let it dry. At least, but I have the experience of knowing a lot of times I was like, oh, this looks like a hot mess right now.
Yeah.
Give it 20 minutes, But even there are times where I'm just like, oh, this is awful. Like, what was I thinking? This looks horrible. My coloring is awful. Walk away. Go have a snack. Go play some video games, whatever. Go deal with my children. Come back to it. And I was like, oh, this isn't bad at all. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Or you're like, it just needs a sentiment. It just needs this. You have the answer when you go, I'll take a photo if I'm like, okay, I don't know. Like, this layout looks horrible. I don't like this layout. These flowers, oh my God. And so I take a photo and then I'm like, oh, but if I just moved this here, oh my God, that's great. And it's something about getting out of yourself, whether walking away, removing yourself and taking a photo. There's something magical about it. I don't know what it is, but it's magic.
Yeah, it's like this weird, fresh perspective. And I was like, nothing's changed. I'm still the same me, and it's only been 20 minutes. Like, what? But no, it just walk away. And I was like, oh, I will go and find other menial tasks. Usually it's chores, because I was like, man, if I'm feeling this crappy, I might as well go wash some dishes. And then once I'm just done with the day, I was like, I hate my life. Why is everyone so filthy? And then I come back and it's like, oh, this wasn't so bad at all. Like, this is great. This is way better than dishes.
So it's just setting your expectation level.
Yeah, I was like, once you throw those out the window, I'm like, oh, everything's fine. I was like, what was I thinking? Like, we're our own worst critics. And
absolutely.
It's so ridiculous. Like, yeah. And I just tell you, I was like, dude, I do this all the time. And again, with all my experience, but the things that I dislike the most, because I don't have time. I don't have the luxury of making a ton of projects and picking only the best ones to show the audience. I was like, dude, you guys get to see. You see all of it. Everything I make, I throw it up because I don't have time. I don't have time to edit this. I don't have time to change it. I'll just explain the video. Oh, I would have done this differently. I would have done this, whatever. But my biggest takeaway always is some of the ones that I hate the absolute most. I was like, this looks like hot garbage.
Yeah.
No, don't like it. Ends up being some of my most liked, most commented on. Everyone's like, this is amazing. I was like, really?
This was almost in the bin. Like, being honest, this almost worked its way in the bin.
This was gross. I am not happy with this. Or I'm just like, whatever. And people love it. I'm like, okay, either I'm just judging or I'm like, maybe I have zero taste. Who knows? It could be any of that. And I'm fine with it. I really am. I was like, I put out so much content that I'm like, and some of the ones that I love the absolute most, and people are just like, I would never use those colors or whatever it is. And I'm just like, I get personal perception. And it ties into, I'm like, it's a good thing we don't all like the exact same things. Yes. Because again, it would be so boring. Yeah. It would be so boring. I was like, we wouldn't have the variety. And that's what I love. I was like, we got variety.
Yeah. And I think it's great. We're an industry that can find inspiration from other, whether it's jelly art or cross stitch, or you see a color combo in cross stitch, you're like, whoa, that would make the best flowers. And I think it's a great kind of crafting industry that we have, that we borrow from here. It's like cooking. You throw in a little of this, a little of that, a little of this, and there you go.
Exactly.
Luckily, it's not baking. Baking's very precise.
Yeah. Truth. Other than some things where I'm just like, just throw it all in the pot, it's fine. Like, whatever. When I make muffins, I'm just like, whatever. But yeah, like actual baking, I'm like, no, it is an art. What? It is an art, and that's why I don't do it very often, because pay attention so you don't burn the entire freaking thing. Yep.
And there's, within that, it was aimed at beginners, but there's a lot of great things in there for the advanced folks as well. One of my greatest things is having a crafty friend who you trust, you love their work, you trust them. Because I had a friend, I felt so bad. I did this watercolor painting out of one of our coloring books. Yep. And I just, at every step of the project, did not like it. I could not know. And she's like, keep going, just push through. You got this, keep going. So I'd do something and then I'd send it to her. And she's like, oh, that looks great. What if you did this? So I'd do that and send it back. I hate it still. No. And finally, the magic was splatter at the end. It's actually framed in my office now. So it's the irony of this piece. I don't know if I framed it so much as I love it now, or the fact that it took as long as it did to fall in love with this piece. But now I see it and it reminds me, don't give up. Push through the ugly, what I think is ugly. Push through my ugly. And you get to a place that you're like, yes, I did this. I did a thing, and you're super proud of it in the end. And so, yeah. And the other thing
especially with coloring things, whether it's a water, like coloring, it's from that whole middle process sometimes, because it's like, what you want it to look like.
Yes.
In the end, like, this looks like hot garbage. It's hot garbage, hot garbage, hot garbage, hot garbage, hot garbage. And then you get and it's like, oh, I did that.
There's a portion you're like, even with a car, I'm not going to get there, man. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just like, but you're already too far into it, especially for me. I'm like, I have already put too much time into this. We're going to the end. We're going to finish it. And splatter. Just throw it on. Or if it's something like, that's why I would tell people, I was like, little dot texture. I'm like, it's like more controlled splatter. I was like,
it is. It's the splattering of your alcohol markers.
Yep. And I'm like, that usually will just save it. Because there's a lot of times where I'm just like, I spent all that time coloring that.
You're going to work
on a bunch of dots. I'm like, it's great. It's great. I love it. Finished card's great.
And that's where I look at it too. And I'm like, okay, do it until you're proud. Do it until you're proud. Because that's all that matters. If you're proud of your creation, that's all that matters. Is that you're proud of yourself for doing that. Because it doesn't matter what anybody else says, and I think that, again, the social media, we get caught up in, well, Susie's got 52 likes and mine only got 10. That means people don't like it. No, it may just mean people were busy that day, or, one has nothing to
do with social media. That one, it can be it's such a toss up between being super, super awesome and being the worst thing that has ever happened to society. And it just, and again, like, I'm thankful for social media. It's enabled me to do this as a job, but there are days where I'm just like, no. Like, man, some days I walk away from it a lot. I'm like, I can't deal with this. But for those that are newer, it's hard. It's so hard. And I always feel so bad. Like, because there's so much noise. There's so much noise. And I always tell people, I'm like, I'm sorry if I don't comment or everything. Because I was like, I can't even see half the things. I was like, between the algorithms, like, people always joke and they think I'm joking when I'm talking about, like, the robot overlords. I'm like, I'm not kidding. I was like, algorithms run our lives and I have zero control about it. So it's like, I don't see things, or people don't see my stuff. And I'm just like, I appreciate every little comment and thumbs up I get. Even if it's only a couple, it's more than zero. And if it's zero, I just assume, I was like, it's been suppressed by the robots. Cause
I do like the robot overlords.
True. It's so true. It's so frustrating. It's just, it never ends, really. I'm like, it just,
even while we sleep, they're working.
Like, comment, subscribe, but I was like, good luck with that. I'm like, good luck actually getting notifications when I put up something new, because I was like, I have no control over any of it.
I do what I can.
Yep. And like, I'm putting it out there and I'm splashing it across social media, and that's, other than like personally coming to your home with a bullhorn, banging on the door. It just is.
That could be a fun day. You could have confetti and a little horn and a fun hat. That would be so fun.
I'm sure there's some that would probably absolutely love it, or be I would be arrested probably within the first 20 minutes.
There's a suspicious woman with a hat and confetti walking off the block.
Weird. She's got a Canadian accent and doesn't know where she is. Yeah, that'd be me. Yeah, that'd be me.
Well, and this may be the hardest part of the podcast. We have the random word generator, which is fun. to test your randomness. We do the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon connection to crafting. So however you can connect it back to crafting, we're good to go. Sometimes the random generator is really loving. He's just a nice fella. And other times it's the robot overlords. So let's hope for the nice fella today.
How my luck in karma goes.
See if the robot overlords are busy elsewhere today. Okay. Your first one, I think you're good. I think the robot overlords are busy. Inspiration.
Everywhere. Literally everywhere. Like, it just, there's so much. There's so much. And especially, I think the best ones like Instagram and Pinterest.
Yeah.
Even though I never go on Pinterest.
I don't work.
I should. I used to. I don't anymore because I just can't keep up with everything. But Instagram especially, even though it's the same thing. The robot overlords have ruined it in so many ways. But sometimes when I'm feeling really stubborn, I'm like, so many good things, because everyone's on there. But
do you ever make things you see in real life? Do they ever, like, you're at the dentist and a woman walks in, you're like, I got to make that shirt when I go home. I love the colors. I love everything about it.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. There's literally been times where I'm just like, I'll have my phone. I was at a restaurant or something. I remember there was a dude sitting and he had like some sort of, like, it was like a Hawaiian style shirt, but like the pattern and he was facing away from me and I was like, so I didn't get his, and I just needed to remember it. I was like, oh, that is such a good shirt.
Strategic.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was like, I know the products, and I had the ideas, and I can't even remember if I ever actually made anything inspired by it, but it was like, that was a cool shirt.
But it's in your phone. So you could.
Yeah.
You could,
if I scroll back through the bajillions of photos, I will find it.
Okay. So let's see if I was going to say furry robot overlords, but no, just the robot overlords, not furry. Maybe they are. I don't know. Okay. So the next word is I don't think they're here with you. Rainbow. I think you have beat the rainbow overlords. The robot overlords. I think you are winning.
That's a first. That almost makes me I was like, oh, the last one's they're going to be really bad. Or I'm going to like...
You're gonna sweep it.
Really bad when we're done or something. It's like there's gonna be a payback for that.
It's gonna be something.
Rainbow all the things. That was actually one of my next card projects. I was like, I haven't done rainbow in a while. I'm gonna rainbow something.
Do you have a favorite like color that you're reaching for like religiously right now?
Oh, I just had to re-ink some of my like aqua shades of ink pads because I was like doing ink blending the other day and I was like, I was really having to refill my brush. And I'm like, what the hell? I was like, oh, these are dry because I use them all the time. Yeah. Definitely aqua shades. I think because they're just, for me, I like, especially a really pale, like sea glass color. Oh, it's a neutral. Like, to me, that's a neutral. So I use it on like everything. But yeah, I'm always jumping around so much too. I always love seeing other makers that kind of have their certain, like, when you see a certain thing, it's like, oh, that's so-and-so.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's their combo. That's their colors. Me, I'm all over the place because I'm just like, I get bored. Rainbow everything always. But then it's like, that's why I do, like, color challenges and other different combos because I'm like, I need to mix it up constantly. And give me a good color combo, like, random ones. And I'm like, I can do that.
And I love those two that you get and you're like, I can't do that. And then you do. And you're like, yes, I pulled this off. Like, it's so
especially the really hard ones where you're like, really? I would not put those colors together ever. What the heck? But I'll do it. I will, because I'm stubborn. So I'm like, I'm gonna prove you wrong.
This was not a good idea.
Like, yeah. And I was like, wow, this is actually really amazing. Like the whole like Tim Holtz grunge, like him and his love of browns. And I used to always be like, why? Like, I'm so not into like that really grungy vintage look. Like, I love the look of it. Yeah. But I won't reach for it. But the times I pull out those browns, I got my ground espresso out and I'm doing my thing. And I'm just like, I'm so channeling Tim Holtz right now. He'd be so proud of me. But it's like, oh, I love this. It's so random. And I was like, I get I get why people have their certain things, you know, that they're just like all over that. And I'm like, I get it. Because really, show me something shiny, sparkly. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, please.
Shiny, sparkly rainbow, out. It's like,
yeah. Like, if it's got rainbow on it or it's sparkly, I'm like, I need that in my life.
Yeah, no matter what it is. It just, yes.
Yeah. Like, that's literally like I saw that in the store and I'm like, of course it's coming home with me.
I have 75, but I need the rainbow
on it.
We need a car that is rainbow. That's my next. You need a car manufacturer to make like an ombre rainbow. Would be gorgeous or something. We need more rainbow in our world. It would
be.
You can't not smile when you see a rainbow. It's like the happiest thing.
Exactly.
It's fabulous.
That's it.
Oh, okay. So no robot overlords, furry or non-furry. They left you alone today, I think. I think this last one, you're going to knock it out of the park too. Mixed.
Mixed media, baby. All the way. Yeah, mix up all the things. Really. That's what I do. Like, I just did that on one of my most recent lives. It was like mixing different colors of paste. You know, because I was like, this gold is too yellow. This gold's too neutral. Let's mix them together. Get in the middle. And I used to do that back in the nail career days. I was like, I used to have my own little mixing. I had ceramic tiles. I actually still have them. I have little ceramic tiles. I used to mix up gels and do custom colors. And I had a wall of glitter. And wow. So I brought that into card making. And I was like, dudes, I mix so many things all the time. I don't show it always in videos because I'm like, this isn't really like manufacturer suggested. You know, but I kind of know what I'm doing within reason. I just, you know, and I was like, when we're not really working, well, I don't work usually with things like alcohol inks and that sort of stuff. I was like, that I have them all. I love them. I keep them a little further away because I was like, we're getting into solvents and me wanting to like we don't need me making like mustard gas in here. So
you're the mad chemist.
Like,
I like to goggles and everything.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I won't show those on videos as often because, yeah, I like to do things that I'm like, I don't recommend this. Don't recommend this. Because, yeah.
Well, there the robot overlords left you. So watch your toes, I guess, when you were worried about.
I know. I'm literally like looking at my pathway.
The rest of the day, she'll be like looking around like,
yeah, I'll be just looking at my shoulder.
Something's going to happen. I can feel it.
Yeah. There'll be something. Well,
thank you so much for making the time to come have a chat with us so that we can all get to know you better in the crafting. It's fun to see the videos, but you don't always get to know the crafter in the videos, so to speak. So,
no, this was really fun. Yeah.
And to all of our amazing listeners and viewers, now that we have a video podcast, make sure to join us next month for the All New Craft Your Life podcast, where you'll see our amazing next guest. Until next time, guys, happy crafting. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you can find podcasts to keep up with every new episode. Email us at support@altenew.com with your feedback. And don't forget to craft your life.
Hello crafters, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.